Time now to debate some of the big stories of the week with the Inside Utah Politics panel. This week we have State Representative Brian King and former Speaker of the House Greg Hughes. We finally have these two separated and calmed down enough to start this segment.
I don't want to have anything to do with him.
Yeah, now I know why I left.
This is gonna be a good one. All right, let's get right into the mask mandate first. Here in Utah, it's been repealed for a week now. Former Speaker, how's it going?
You know, I think it's great. I think we live in America. It's a free society, free nation, and I think people are going to take precautions. Government edicts weren't the reason why people would exercise precautions, and I don't think you're going to see masks disappear. In states where these government mandates have been lifted, you see that the infection rate is not outpacing other states that still have heavy restrictions from their government. And you won't see it in Utah. You'll see many businesses that still require masks when you enter, and you'll see people making smart decisions. But they will be decisions that reasonable people make to protect themselves, which is what I believe we can do absent government intervention.
Representative King, your thoughts on that? Most businesses I've gone into have still been requiring them, and people, for the most part, have been wearing them.
Yeah, they have. And as usual, Greg Hughes is wrong about so many things. I mean, look, masks are good, they're helpful, they keep this disease from spreading. We've proven that. I've seen other people say masks don't even work. That's just nonsense. They're clearly proven to work. And in fact, if we had had a mask mandate earlier in the state of Utah, we would have saved lives. Businesses are the people that really are the things that really want these mask mandates. Why? Because it makes it easy for them to point back at the government and say, look, it's not our choice about whether to require that you wear a mask or not when you come in here. It's the government's choice. We as a government, when we mandate these things, make it easier for businesses to do the right thing and to avoid being put between a rock and a hard place in terms of the preferences of some of their customers. So I'm glad to see the numbers coming down. I hope they continue to come down, but I think we're running a risk without the mask mandate in place.
Let's explore this a little nationally. When Texas was one of the first states, I believe it was Texas and Mississippi, if I'm remembering right, first repealed the mask mandate, the President Biden, coming out calling that Neanderthal thinking. We haven't seen cases, we've continued to see cases go down in those states, but up in others. Was the President right when he said that, Greg?
Obviously, he wasn't. The data coming out of Texas and the states that have lifted those mandates show that people are going to make decisions that are smart for themselves, for their families. Business owners are going to make their decision. They don't need, the data has shown that they don't need a heavy hand of a state government to give them the headroom to be able to force people to wear masks. People are making those decisions if they make sense and if they feel that those are the appropriate precautions. The infection rate per 100,000 people in Texas is lower than in California, where they have every restriction you can imagine. And so the data doesn't play out. And I would argue that for my friends across the aisle, if you got to trust the people. You can go ahead and entrust people to make good decisions. Good information drives good decisions. I think you've seen that in Republican states that have lifted their mandates, and you'll see that here in our state as well.
Representative King, was it too early to start making these moves?
Well, look, you've seen some states that have done fine. Utah's one of them, that our rates have stayed low. Other states, the numbers have increased. And across the country as a whole, we've seen the numbers increase. And that's unfortunate. And I think it's because you've had individuals on a state-by-state basis. Sometimes it's connected to loosening the restrictions on the mask mandate, sometimes not. But they've started to get more lax in wearing the masks. If they'd kept up with the mask wearing, we would have seen the numbers stay low. We just need to continue to wear the mask one way or the other. I think we can all agree on that. At least I hope we can all agree on that. We can disagree about the extent to which it helps people wear masks to have a mandate in place. But I think one thing we can all agree on is that masks work, and we need to make sure that we wear them.
Let's move on to the Supreme Court of the United States. The President taking the first steps to potentially expand that by forming a commission to investigate and look into that. Greg, your thoughts on that?
It's frustrating to hear. Look, the one thing that protects us from a more federal encroachment and more of our rights being threatened is a Supreme Court that will look and see if these new laws that Pelosi would like to push through, that even Majority Leader in the Senate, Senator Schumer, would like to push through, are they constitutional? Do they abide by our Constitution? If you don't like the answer you're getting in your President Biden, I guess you can look at stacking the court with jurists that will rubber stamp the encroachment that you desire to see happen across this country. I'm being blunt, but it's honestly the truth. I mean, we've had Democrat and Republican administrations, and we've had FDR rebuked by even members of his own party when he attempted to expand the court. It's a it's just naked aggression, and I think that hopefully cooler heads will prevail, and this idea of expanding the court will simmer down and go away. It's unworthy of consideration.
Representative King, you work in the law field. Your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
It's infuriating, quite honestly, to hear people like Greg Hughes talk about this, really, because the abuse that we've seen in politicizing the Supreme Court and the process by which the Supreme Court membership is determined is first and foremost illustrated by Mitch McConnell and Republicans in the Senate. You'll remember they held up for months the nomination of Merrick Garland when it came from President Obama, and then immediately, as soon as they have an opportunity to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg with their own nominee from the Trump administration, they rush to do it. And yet we hear protestation about even studying this. This isn't a move to pack the court or to change anything. The Constitution doesn't say that there have to be 9 people on the court. The reality is we do need to look at what we can do to keep this process in the Supreme Court from being politicized by what the Republicans have done in the last 5 years.
I'd like to get your thoughts on that, Greg, because I remember meeting with Senator Hatch at the time during the Garland situation, and I said, look, when the pendulum swings, you may come back to regret this, and he says, yeah, I know, we probably will.
Well, we saw examples of that when Harry Reid, then Senate Majority Leader, decided to get rid of the filibuster for judicial nominees and for cabinet appointees. That's a pendulum that has swung both ways. You saw President Trump nominate a record number of judicial nominees because they had the majority in the Senate. The bottom line is this: the filibuster is important. I have been privy to and been in the company of Senator Lee as he has debated President Trump about getting rid of the filibuster back when the Republicans had the majority in the Senate. President Trump thought that would be good to do. Senator Lee thought that the filibuster should remain. And when you get back to the nominee of Garland, it's the party that's in charge. It's the party that has the majority. And there isn't an example, Republican or Democrat, where the party that had the majority yielded or did not pursue their party's interest in that case.
I want to try and get to one more topic, but Representative King, what about that issue of the party that's in control?
Well, the party that's in control of the Senate is what Greg Hughes means. He's not talking about the party in control of the White House, and it is the party in control of the White House who has the opportunity to nominate people. So it's a political power play is what it gets to. And one of the things that President Biden is doing is looking at opportunities and ways in which to depoliticize the process for structuring and setting up the Supreme Court and choosing people to be on the Supreme Court. I don't think that's a bad idea to study that because it's been abused in the past.
Okay, I know you want to weigh in on that again, Greg, but let's get to this next subject because you wanted to get to that as well. Yeah. Senator Lee and some of his colleagues introducing a bill to remove the antitrust exemption for Major League Baseball. Good idea or not?
It's a very good idea. Why doesn't the NFL doesn't have it? Hockey doesn't have it. NBA doesn't have it. This is an exemption that they have received long ago. And if you look at the actions and the decisions made by Major League Baseball today, it's a business, and they're trying to appeal to a demographic, and they're making decisions that I think are frustrating, and I actually think are dividing this country. We talk about depoliticizing. I don't see anything coming from the left that's uniting us as a nation. And I think that Major League Baseball's decision to pull the All-Star game out of Atlanta, a city and a community, 51% minorities that would benefit economically from having the All-Star game there, and moving it to Denver, not only do they not deserve the antitrust exemption that they enjoy, I think there needs to be some real questions asked about this commissioner. He seems to be a member of Augusta National Golf Club in Georgia, Augusta, Georgia. He didn't give that up. It's a lot of theater.
I know you can't get him to stop talking.
You can't make it up.
Representative King, you get the last 30 seconds.
Thank you. Well, listen, the reality is that the only reason we're talking about taking away the antitrust exemption is because a bunch of Republicans and conservatives are angry about what Major League Baseball did in response to the Georgia legislature suppressing the vote in Georgia. That's the only reason we're talking about it now. So this is a political payback.
Voter integrity is what they push for in Georgia.
What we're talking about is political bullying.
We're going to have to end it on that note, gentlemen. I knew this was going to be a good one, and it turned out to be. Thanks for being here with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And stay with us. We'll be right back with more Inside Utah Politics right after the break. We leave you now to look at what's on the radar in the world of politics. This is a municipal election year, and candidates lining up to run for office. The declaration period is June 1st through the 7th. The primary is Tuesday, August 10th, and the general is Tuesday, November 2nd. Make sure to connect with me on social media or via email. I'd like to know what you think of this show and other issues that are important to you. Thanks so much for making us part of your Sunday morning. We hope to see you again next week as we go inside Utah politics.